No man or woman has ever become great without making great mistakes. Get ready for a shot of inspiration, motivation, and some resilience building with our remarkable guest. Stay tuned for the Startup Life live show. Hello and welcome everyone to the Startup Life live show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, startup coach to first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now help newly minted business owners sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. And I call it Ande-licious advice, and it's core business startup strategies delivered with high enthusiasm, inspiration, and joy for the journey. Thank you for carving out time to tune in and up your founder game while grabbing some inspiration and resilience training. And for those of you watching now and via the replay, please like the video and be sure to click the YouTube subscribe button. Thank you. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest, Royale L'radin. And let me just bring up some slides to show you, okay? Because this is a remarkable man. I'm going to start right here. Royale is a philosopher, transformational speaker, and a resilience coach who embarked on a journey to inspire, motivate, and transform the masses using his life experiences. Royale has been the keynote speaker at conferences for well-known organizations across the East Coast, such as the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, Bridgewater State University, Harvard University, Rockland Trust Bank, and many more. I got to tell you, he is everywhere. Here's what's so cool about what Royale has recently done. He recently opened a community center in Stoughton, Massachusetts called the RTI Empowerment Center with a mission to bridge the gap in communities through arts, youth empowerment, and community development. Okay, and now here's where I found Royale, right here on Instagram. And I want to send all of you over there on Instagram. Follow Royale. You will be inspired every day by his thoughtful and transformational posts. He lights up my life everywhere he glows. I'm so honored to have him on the show, and he's local, so I'm so really thrilled about that. Welcome to the show, Royale.
Greetings.
So happy to see you today, and so happy to have you in the Startup Life live show. It was Anna Foster who, I don't know how she introduced me to you, but as soon as I saw your posts on Instagram, I knew I wanted to learn more. I wanted to follow you. I wanted to be inspired by you. You truly lift folks up. Where are you hailing from right now? Where are you sitting geographically? Because I'd love to find out where folks are in the world.
Well, I'm sitting geographically. I'm in Stoughton, Mass.
There we go.
Presently, Stoughton, Mass.
Right, so that's the greater Boston area, folks. I'm in greater Boston too. Let us know where you're hailing from today. And you founders, you know how I love to see where you're working, what you're working on. So please be sure to post your business name and website in the comments so I can bring it up on the screen and talk about it. Even if we haven't met, I want to know more. And also, Royale, I love to talk about how you do live all the time on Instagram. Live events are a great way to meet other people, to connect, to feel connected. And right now we're streaming live simultaneously on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. How wonderful is that? And what are your thoughts about live streaming? How do you connect with your audience with live stream on Instagram when you go live? What does that mean to you?
Well, to connect to my audience live, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's in person, it kind of gives me an opportunity to push my mission forward, my personal mission. And my personal mission is to help everyone I come in contact with get one step closer to their best selves. So when I'm able to go live and be able to reach people, I have it in my mind that I never know who may be experiencing an issue that the message I'm going to deliver is going to help.
Wow. And are you inspired by something that just crops up that morning, or do you plan what you're going to say?
Sometimes it could be while I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Right? I could be on the treadmill and I have an aha moment. Sometimes I could be in the shower, right? Sometimes I could be listening to a certain song, or I could be having a breakdown for myself. And then through that breakdown, I experience a place of enlightenment, of clarity. And I'm able to get through the breakdown. And I say, wow, if I'm experiencing this right here and I was able to get through, how many people may be experiencing this and aren't able to get through? Let me see if I could just share it with them. And and the thing that I learned about sharing is when you share something, you learn it twice.
Talk about that some more.
Yeah. So for me, you know, my journey really started with me wanting to transform myself.
Yeah.
And in wanting to transform myself, I learned a lot of things that in order for me to get better at the things I learned, I had to teach it to others.
So when you say that you learn it twice, I know Stephen Covey talks a lot about that as well, that you need to, communicate in a way that you understand it so thoroughly yourself that you can communicate it effectively, but you have to teach it in order to deepen that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, right. So they say you don't fully learn something until you're able to teach it.
Yeah.
So if you're
I
not able
love
to
that.
teach it, you haven't learned it yet.
Yep. See, and Mia right here, she's listening. She's at a job site today. And I got to tell you, this woman knows how to communicate beautifully and teach folks. Same where you're coming from as well. She is a gift through her podcast. She has this great podcast, Royale, called Shit We Don't Talk About. And goes deep on a lot of topics, because a lot of times we're not talking about what's important. And then we have a great movie producer right here from Phoenix, Ted. I got to tell you, he is a remarkable man who has learned to live and thrive with learning difference and not being typical. And he talks about autism and how being on the spectrum is for him. And he is one of the most remarkable people I know. So yay, Ted. Thank you for tuning in.
Ted.
But I wanted to know, because when anybody starts and wants to be in the world in a way as an influencer, as a teacher, as a connector, and in your case, taking that deep philosophy and transformation capability that you have, what inspired you? Because a lot of people might think that, but they don't take the action, Royal. Where were you in life when you said, you know what, I am going to be out there with what I feel really called and compelled to say?
So that's an amazing question. So for me, I've always been out there from a early age, but I wasn't always out there in the most, I'd say, in the most healthy way, in the most delicious, as we like to say. So for me, growing up, my dream was to always help my mother escape poverty. So, there were times when I used to see the lights cut off for a couple of days. There's times when I saw eviction notes on the door. There are times when I see my mother borrowing money to be able to take care of me. And my mission at the time was to help my mother escape poverty by any means necessary. Yeah. And the route that I chose was, selling drugs. And at the time, I believed that was the end all be all. And once I was able to do that well, then we would no longer suffer. And when I got to the point where I was able to do it well, I did it well for a long time. And then I got arrested and got convicted of drug trafficking. And when I was in my prison cell, I had a moment of clarity where I said to myself, number one, I'm much more than selling drugs, right? Life is worth much more than making money and the willing to do anything to make money. And I had a moment where I felt I wanted to become valuable, right? There's a great speaker by the name of Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn says, if you become valuable, money will come looking for you, right? You won't have to chase money, right? For example, when you value a dentist, for example, the dentist doesn't call you to come looking for them. You go looking for the dentist. So I had a moment in my life where I wanted to transform myself from being a disruption to my community and becoming an asset to my community. And in prison, I read this book by an author named Jack Canfield. And Jack Canfield, in the beginning of the book, the first chapter says, take full responsibility for your life. And in that book, he speaks about you can become successful by doing the things that you love to do. And he had us, he had you write down the things that you were great at. And I realized that I was great at motivating people, inspiring people. And that's when it started.
Yeah. That is always the greatest teacher, right? The biggest mistake. And I understand, having been in drug sales myself way back in the day. It's marketing 101. It's filling a need, it's moving product, it's all of that. It just happens to be illegal.
Yes. And it happens to be illegal, and it destroys communities.
It does.
And I used to say to myself, well, if I don't supply the drugs, somebody else is going to supply the drugs, and the person will take the drugs anyway. Yeah. But you are either a part of the problem and a part of the solution. And I wanted to become a part of the solution.
And that's a big transformation and a big aha moment that you had while you were incarcerated. And I love that you were called to read these books. I mean, you could have read, a spy novel. You could have read anything, but you chose to read books because you wanted to have a deeper understanding and a deeper self-awareness so that you could be part of the solution. Yeah, and so, go ahead.
Good. I'm sorry.
No, I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, I wanted to change my life. Right? Yeah. There's a saying that goes, it's insane to keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Right.
So I knew that if I continued down that path, the prison sentences will get even longer and longer and longer. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that made me feel like I was doing God's work.
Right. And Royal, you had to have that contrast moment. Folks, we walk with the dark side every day. The dark side is important, the shadow side of life, because it offers us the contrast moment so that we can step more fully into the light and be more fully who we are and need to be. And so you had those dark days. You had a great reason for wanting to deal drugs, because you wanted to take your mom out of poverty and your family out of poverty. But now you're incarcerated, and this is what I find so fascinating, is that you uniquely had that aha moment, and you made the decision to change your life. Lots of people can't do that, but you knew that you had it in you, that you could be better and you could be a solution for folks. So to me, that is just remarkable on how you knew that about yourself. So when you got out of prison, what was life like? How did you start walking your talk, and where did you show up? Did you get a job? Did you start your own thing? And how did that transfer into becoming this transformational speaker and resilience coach?
Well, so life doesn't work that way, right? You don't just get out and then things materialize for you. Whatever you decided you wanted to do, the path you wanted to take, it doesn't just happen. So for me, the first thing I had to do, I had to create a blueprint, right? I learned that I had to create a roadmap. I had to create a blueprint that would support me in getting to my ultimate goal. So for me, I created a first day out list. I created a first week out list. I created a first month out list, first 3 months, first year, and first 10 years out. And I followed it because in life, things are going to happen to you and you're going to get sidetracked. But when you have a blueprint that's sitting somewhere, you can always go back and see where you left off, right? So I had a plan, and fortunate for me, I had a support system. I had a support system that wanted to see me succeed and thrive. So when I came out of prison, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. My old self was fighting to become my new self again. And my new self was afraid of the journey that lies ahead of me, but I kept going. I didn't give up. And I got here to this place.
Yeah. Well, and you talk a lot about that, Royal, about not giving up. And, folks, not giving up comes with a lot of mythology to it. But not giving up is going back to your blueprint, adjusting based on what you've learned, and looking at these goals and understanding that it is a journey until you take your last breath. So you may not have that instant gratification of success or an outcome that you're holding deep in your heart. But I feel that that's what you're always talking about, Royal, which is the fullest expression of who you are, especially as you evolve. This is what you're sharing with folks every day, that it is a journey. And you have to be careful who you bring on the journey with you. Are they negative naysayers who want to hold you back the way they view you? Or are they folks who are going to help you meet that goal and meet that vision? What are your thoughts about that? Don't give up.
Well, I'll say that's the backbone of resilience. Not giving up, right? Holding on.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that the journey is not simple. The journey, you're going to experience setbacks that different intervenes, but we have to create systems as well that could support us in not giving up. And our circle of influence, our immediate surroundings, right? The people you have around you will determine how fast you get back up from a breakdown.
Yeah.
Right. So as far as not giving up, it's the people that we have around us who are holding us accountable to our best selves. And the people who are helping to hold us accountable to our best selves are a part of the mission of not giving up.
Right. Whew. I'm telling you. And this is important. I'm a woman of a certain age. I've been around for decades. And I've had a lot of times in my life, Royal, where it would have been easy to give up. I mean, when I went to graduate school for my MBA, they told me not once, but twice, we don't accept students with scores as low as yours on the GMATs. I do terrible on standardized tests. I was not willing to take no for an answer. I go, okay, how do I get to yes? And you have to be practical, folks. You have to understand that it may take sacrifice to get into these folks. So part of to your successful outcome, and startup founders, this better than anyone. Yes. As a founder, you are facing uncertainty sometimes what feels like insurmountable odds, especially when Mother Nature comes in with either a storm that could wipe your business out or a pandemic, all of that.
Yes.
But Royale, I want you to talk about that because a lot of founders have had setbacks over the last year, and we'll continue to have setbacks.
Yeah, will every level we get to in life, we will experience another level of setback, right? Every level, right? So for some people, they believe that success is the end result, when in reality, success is only the beginning of a new responsibility, right? And when you're on your journey, when you get to the next level of your journey, once you have the first level down pat, new responsibilities, new challenges are awaiting you. And what I'll share with you 4 things that helped me get through my setbacks. Like 4 things. I don't know how many of you pray, but for me, I pray. For me, I reach out to my higher power when times are tough. I reach out to my higher power and I ask for courage, strength, willpower to go through, to continue on. And number 2, I create a plan, right? You got to have a plan. You have to know where you want to go. You have to know how far you want to go with the plan that you have for yourself. Number 3, you have to have a support system. We have to have people around us who believe in us. We have to have people around us who support us, people around us who can hold us accountable to our best self. And I'll say number 4, which is actually number 1, your why. I think Simon Sinek has a book about the why. I recommend that book for everyone to read, but your why. Why are you involved in this business? Why are you involved in this organization? Why are you involved in this dream that you have? Your why. Your why is the root of you holding on and not giving up.
Right. And I also want to talk a little bit about, and I love the 4, which is basically faith, got to have a plan, got to have a support system. You got to be tapped into your North Star, your why.
Why?
And go ahead.
Because if we do it for money, right? If we do it just for money, when the money's not coming in, we're going to give up, right? If money is the most important thing for that mission that you're on, when the money is threatening to disappear, you'll disappear too.
Yeah.
But if you do it for a purpose greater than money, if you do it because it's a part of who you are and what you believe in, you can't give up.
That's right. And founders, it may be the specific mission you're on with your business, or it could be just your need to be a founder. Okay. That's okay. To want to be someone who brings an incredible product or service that you feel passionate about to the world. And that can evolve. As a 4-time business founder, I can say I was passionate about each one of my businesses. They were so important in how they served the world. And they were really a very strong why for me right now. And Royale, I want to talk about this because some people have lost their business, had to close down their business over the last year. And I would love to have us remind them that that dream is still there. It may not show up how it was in the past. There's a whole new dream ready for you to give birth to. And most founders are very innovative people, and they may have a lineup of products or ideas on the shelf that they can pull off. But if you're feeling discouraged and you're really being brought down by a setback, please know that you can dream another dream right up until your last breath. But Royale, please talk about that as well, to help founders understand that there's loss sometimes, right? And there's time to move on, but still be in pursuit of a dream or a vision that you want to bring to the world. Yes?
Of course. See, I remember my first business when I came out of prison. I had a plan to open up a production studio, a place where creatives can come and shoot videos, take pictures, run workshops, right? A space of that nature. And the reason why I had opened up that first space is because when I was released from prison, I wanted to be able to go into schools and speak to kids about my mistakes.
Yeah.
The schools that I was going to in Brockton, they wouldn't allow me to go into the schools because of my Corey, because I had a criminal background.
Everybody, Corey is that form you have to have signed to do any work, volunteer or otherwise, with the population that's under 18.
So for me, it was difficult. I'm like, well, the very people that you need to speak to, these young people, are the people that you're keeping away.
Right.
And me being resilient, I told myself, if I can't go into the schools to speak to the young folks, I'll create a space where they can come to me. So I opened up that first space. It was a 500 square foot space, and I remember the landlord came to me and told me how there's another side to this space, and it's connected to your door. So like in a hotel, there's for some rooms there's like a door in between, and from that door you can go into another room. And the landlord said, if you take over the other space, I'll give you a discount. So I took it, and I knocked down the wall and made the space 1,000 square feet. But the problem that I had was I didn't quite know how to bring in the money. I knew I had a passion and I wanted to help other people. I wanted to help other creatives, but I didn't know how to make money legally doing that.
Yeah.
So I remember there were times when I couldn't pay the rent for the space. All the money that would come my way would go directly to the landlord when I could pay for the space. And I was there for 4 years. And on the 4th year, I figured it out. I figured out what I needed to do to pay the overhead. And what I started to do, I started to rent the space. I started to rent the space to creatives. Instead of allowing creatives to just use the space, I was renting it to them, to pay the rent. And on the 4th year, the landlord came to me and he said, if you can pay me all the back money that you owe me, because he believed in me. He was a 85-year-old older man, right? And he said, Angel. He said he believed in me. He said that I reminded him of when he was my age. And he said, if you could pay me everything you owe me, I'll renew the contract. So I did everything I could do. I borrowed money from everybody to pay him, and for him to renew the contract for the 5th year. And 4 days before that, he caught a bad asthma attack, and he got real sick, and his daughter had to take over. So his daughter said, okay, whatever my dad said, I'll honor it. So I did it. I came up with the money, and I was able to pay him back, right? And I paid her, and she said, okay, I'm going to bring you the contract. Make a long story short, a couple of days later, I didn't hear from her. And when I called her, I said, hey, I'm waiting for the contract so I could renew my lease. And she said, oh, we've decided that you're not a good tenant, and we don't want you here anymore. In that moment, I was bummed. That day was my daughter's
Yeah.
birthday. It was my daughter's birthday that day. I had clients who had already booked the space for their upcoming events. And what was I going to tell them? And I remember driving down Stoughton. So my suite, my 1,000 square foot suite, for anybody who's familiar with Stoughton, my 1,000 square foot suite was across from U-Haul on 138 in the same parking lot as the old X and O's and the now restaurant called Amelia's. And I remember leaving there, driving down Stoughton, going towards Stoughton Center and looking at a building on my right. And the building said for lease, 6,000 square foot space. And
Not 1,000,
now
6,000.
6,000. So remember, I just was able to finally be able to pay for the 1,000 square foot space.
Right.
And here I am looking at a 6,000 square foot building that I knew I couldn't afford. But my dream, and what I believed for my dream said that I should get that space. So what I did was I called that landlord, set up a meeting, and a couple of days later, I signed the lease to that space. And it wasn't easy. It was difficult, but I made it happen. And I sacrificed everything to pay that lease. I was behind on my promises. There were times where I slept on a twin size air mattress inside of the office that I had inside that building to be able to pay the lease. And in 2018, I was able to have a grand opening for that space. And then 2 years later, 2020, I was able to buy the building. Right. So
Really? Yes. Come on, everybody. Happy dance.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
And what I want to say, I said this long story to draw your point across. Many people have lost their businesses. Many people have experienced a lot of setbacks. But a great man once said, every negative situation has an equal or greater benefit for something greater to come out of it. So at the moment when I lost the 1,000 square foot space, I thought my life was over. But honestly, it was really the beginning of the RTI Empowerment Center. So if we don't give up,
1,000 square feet too. So when you saw that for lease sign, and I just want folks to take this in. First of all, Royal saw it right there. We have to stay open to possibilities. And it's really, really hard when we're feeling frozen or paralyzed because of the situation, because of the setback. But if you can remove yourself and be an observer, all of a sudden things can come in and solutions can come in and some what ifs can come in. And then you take action. So seeing the sign, first of all, yay, you, but then saying, well, shoot, I'll go talk to them. Why not? I'm already between a rock and a hard place. Maybe this could work out.
Yeah, because my why was greater than my how.
Right.
The why has to be much larger than the how. Right. My why was so big that how it was going to happen was not as important because my why said it would.
That's right. And folks, you can die on the hill called how. How's that going to work? How's that going to happen? How am I going to do this? How will I pay? No, you got to put that how over there and just hold on to your intention, your vision, your why.
Right. And we have to have I'm going to say it again. We have to have a plan.
Yeah.
We got to have a strategy. Right. When I was off track sometimes, or I was able to go back into my blueprint and say, hey, this is where we're supposed to go.
Yeah.
This is where we're supposed to be. So when I seen the 6,000 square foot building, I had always wanted to open up a community center. So when I saw the 6,000 square foot building, I was like, hey, this was one of the goals I had before.
Right.
Maybe now I can do much more than helping the creatives. Right? I can do a lot more with this big building here.
I love that. Thank you so much for that remarkable story. Unbelievably inspirational. And I'd love to talk about now, two different areas. One around how to let go of the folks that no longer serve us. I mean, you can love from a distance, but how do you do that? Because, folks can bring you down. All right. Family and friends don't see your vision. And then the other question I have to follow on that, Royal, is how to not compare yourself as well. So it's all outside things, but they do affect how we move and groove forward with our businesses. So first, let's talk about the folks in your life that aren't serving you. You do a great job about this and talking about this on your Instagram feed. And I love your advice. Would you share some of your thoughts around that?
It was tough for me to walk away from some of the people I've been around my whole life.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But I knew that life would be even tougher if I kept them around. So the resilience that we build, the resilience that we must have, is not only for us to not give up on our dreams, but the resilience that we must have must be to break away from the people in our lives who are toxic, the people in our lives who don't believe in us, the people in our lives who are giving us negative feedback, the people in our lives who are judging us, the people in our lives who refuse to embrace our calling, the people in our lives who are looking at us from the old lens instead of the new lens. So the resilience that's most important after not giving up on your dream is the resilience against the people who don't want to see you win. And I'm telling you, people who may not want to see you win, it could be your parents, it can be your siblings, right? It could be a business partner, it could be a friend. And the people we have around us will determine the kind of success we experience in our lives. So yes, our circle of influence is everything. And sometimes people feel like, well, I live with that person, right? For many people, it's like, well, I live in a house and the house is toxic. Well, start creating a plan to get out of the house, right? My roommate is toxic. Well, start creating a plan to get out the house. Your why, right? I need to focus on my dream, and living in this space is affecting that focus. So start creating a plan to get out of that environment. It may be your spouse, it may be your boyfriend or girlfriend, whoever it may be, and that person may be subconsciously holding on to you so tight that they refuse to give you opportunities for you to move forward.
Right.
And maybe it's time for you to break that contract.
And believe it or not, it feels easier to stay with the toxicity, with the toxic relationships. That's why I love what you say, Royal, about creating a plan and always having your why in there. Because when you're feeling like, this is just too hard, you go back to that plan. Where are you on the plan? And then you get back on track and you realize that, this is a one precious life that you have to live. And nobody said it was going to be easy. But it doesn't have to be so hard that you are not fully expressed. What were you going to say, Royal?
I was going to say, let's go, we go back to the 4 things I mentioned. Your faith. You got to believe. You got to believe in something, right? You got to believe in a force that greater than yourself. 2, you mentioned the plan. We mentioned the why, and we have to build that kind of support system, right? You have to have a support system around you that's going to help push you through, because we can't do it all alone.
No.
A lot of the time, we think that we can do it all alone. We cannot do it all alone.
So how do folks find a better support system?
One of the things that I had to do to find a better support system was I had to become the kind of people I was looking for. See, if we blame other people for the things that happen to us, then that means it's their fault. They have to change while we remain the same. If we take full responsibility for the things that happen to us, we get to change, and everything around us will change. So for that support system that we're looking for, we have to be able to give support as well, right? We have to become that very thing that we're looking for, right? If you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, right? If you're looking to become a doctor, you have to go and intern at a hospital, right? Whatever you want to become, you have to surround yourself with those kind of people in that environment. And one of the best ways to attract those kind of people into your life, one of the best ways to build that support system, is to do everything in your power for you to become that thing that which you want to attract.
Here we go. Those are words, paragraphs of phenomenal wisdom. So, Royal, of course, again, folks, this is not an overnight situation. This is an evolution. You evolve and you get better at becoming, and you get better at setting boundaries, and you get better at stepping up for you and your vision. But what happens a lot of times online, Royal, because we see the beautiful photographs on Instagram and Facebook and people talking a really good game. We don't know what's behind the curtains, but we can start comparing ourselves, even though they're much further along in their journey than we are, even though we know that comparison is the thief of joy and it doesn't serve us. We can look out and see, they're doing it so much better, why bother? Or instead of really understanding, you need to do you, be you, how your dream and your plan and your vision needs to unfold. How can folks avoid comparing and despairing?
I mean, so I'll say it like this, I know on our journey, and there's times where, we'll measure ourselves against someone else, and it can be healthy if it's competitive, right? You can say, right, this person. So I'll give you my example. When I first started speaking, one of my favorite motivational speaker is Les Brown. Another speaker that I love Eric Thomas. I love Jim Rohn. I love Tony Robinson. I love Inky Johnson. And then, I remember I wanted to speak like them immediately. I wanted it to just happen like that. I want to speak like that. And, I had to be honest with myself. How long did Les Brown take to be speaking the way he's speaking today? Right? And another thing I had to look at is Les Brown's journey is not the same as my journey. Right. Our experiences are all unique. So there's nothing that we could ever do exactly the same. So if there's nothing that we could ever do exactly the same, who am I to compare myself to somebody else? So I had to come to terms with
Absolutely.
that. And the third thing I had to look at was, you got to practice your craft. You got to practice your craft so you can become so great at what you do that you stand out amongst everybody else that you were comparing yourself to.
That's right. And you have to, by being fully yourself, you've probably heard this, folks, the vibe with your tribe. By not being someone else, by being fully who you are, you're going to bring folks who want some of that into your world. And I love Les Brown's story. He practiced, folks. He was a lousy public speaker. He practiced so hard. He watched the Jim Rohns and all these folks. He would go to events and then he'd go home and he'd practice. He memorized, dozens of quotes, right? So that they would always be right there to share all the time. Such a great perspective for avoiding comparing and despairing. Thank you, Royale. Yeah, Mia, he is amazing. I'm so glad. And we know many folks are going to be hearing Royale from the show and know that.
And what I want to say is, I was speaking to one of my friends the other day.
Yeah.
And he said, if you want to understand life, if you want to understand your journey, look at nature. Study nature. Nature never gives up. Nature never gives up.
Right.
And he said, be like nature, because nature never gives up. The flowers never stop blooming. The flowers never stop growing. It may die and then another flower comes to grow again. Nature never stops.
Yeah. And the hosta is not looking at the daffodil going, dang, I wish I were a yellow flower. Right. The hosta is coming up every year, just like the daffodil comes up every year, and it's doing its hosta thing. And the daffodil's doing their thing, and they're like, wee, together.
Yeah, and in times where things may be challenging for you, grab a book of someone who you may look up to, read a autobiography, watch some motivational videos, right?
Have you read It's About Damn Time yet, Royale?
No, I have not read that book yet.
I'm going to send you a copy of Arlen's book. Yeah, she persevered. She raised a venture capital fund. And when she closed that fund, she was sleeping at the airport and doing her Wi-Fi at the coffee shops and hotels. And it was a dream she had when she was a tour manager for music groups. And it took years and a lot of hard work, and she didn't give up on her goal. It's a great story. So yeah, those kind of stories help you understand and help you stay on your path. And again, it's about full expression. It's not like a one and done. I built this business, that's it. I mean, it could be a lifetime business, which is wonderful. But often, things evolve along the way. But knowing yourself, and founders, and especially first-time founders, I want you to take in a lot of what Royale has said about resilience, because it is truly the number one ingredient you're going to need as a founder. And those of you who are looking to expand globally and need funding for that, you need to demonstrate that with folks who would be investing in you and your business. How resilient are you? What are your thoughts about that, Royale?
The people who are going to invest in your business, they look to you to see the belief you have and what you want them to invest in. So, your belief will show your consistency, and your consistency will show to the people you want to invest that, this person won't give up.
That is so good.
And you got to have a plan.
Now, you keep talking about having a plan. This is a common theme as part of your 4 ways for overcoming setbacks and to building resilience. What does that look like? So there's some people like, okay, I need a plan. Where does anybody start? How do you advise folks to get started on their plan?
So, let's say let's go as simple. Let's say you want to open up a coffee shop. Well, the SBA, the Small Business Association, they have people who are there who can help you create a plan for opening up a coffee shop.
Right.
There are books with people who have opened up coffee shops before, books that you can read that can give you tips on how to open up a coffee shop. As simple as, what am I going to do first? Right? Or what am I going to do first? What's the coffee shop going to be called? How is a coffee shop going to look? Where am I going to put the coffee shop? All these different things. You have to actually write them down on paper and share it with people who can give you effective advice. A lot of times we get advice from people who are around us, but a lot of the times there may be people around you who can't really help you with opening up a coffee shop because they've never opened up a business before. So we have to get advice from people who have succeeded in the area where we're looking to succeed at. And being able to ask for advice will help you in creating that plan for yourself.
Exactly. Mr. Rogers always said, look for the helpers.
Look for the helpers. With your faith, with the belief in yourself and your consistency, people will show up to help see your vision through.
Right. That's right. And the confidence that we need to implement that plan may feel a little shaky initially. You may feel like you're on ice skates for the first time and your ankles are in and you're wobbling and you're slipping, but it builds. The more you stretch and get more knowledgeable in how to implement your plan, how to take the steps you need, talk to the right people, read the right books, surround yourself with folks that will help build your dream and help you hold your vision. Go ahead. Yeah.
I said also too, by measuring your growth.
Yes.
To see how far you've come along, doing a personal inventory on yourself. When we go to the doctor, one of the first things the doctor does is tell us to get on a scale. Get on a scale to weigh us. Get on a scale, right? For the kids, get on a scale to weigh you and get on a scale to see how tall you are, right? So that way the doctor can track your progress or your regress. So if you were weighing 140 and all of a sudden you go to the doctor and you're weighing 70 pounds, the doctor's going to say, hey, something's up. What's going on? What's wrong? Right. It's the same thing with our journey of life. We have to be able to do personal inventory on ourselves to see how far we've come along, to track our growth and to see if maybe we're at a standstill.
Yeah.
And that all is a part of creating that plan. That all is about of the process of building resilience.
So good. One of the things I do as well, because when we're serving the world, every once in a while, the world gives us back some wonderful testimonials, or at least evidence that we're on the right path, that we're having an impact. And not that you want the outside world to feed you, you have to feed you. Amen. But getting the evidence, whether it's a one-liner, or someone said, you really helped me with this, whatever that, or your product, fill in the blank, put it somewhere. I have a Pinterest board where I put mine. I do snapshots and store them there. So when you're having a tough day and finding your why is really hard, you go and see and read the impact that you're having. And you go, oh yeah, that's right. Right. This is how I wanted to serve and help people. Oof, that's right. I'm so happy to remember that.
That's right. I remember growing up, there were pictures on the wall. There were pictures of my graduation. There were pictures of certificates framed up on the wall. And growing up, I never really understood why these things mattered on the wall. But I remember one time when I was going through a tough challenge, and I looked to the wall and I seen a certificate, right, of when I succeeded at something. So we need to have things around us to remind us of who we are. We need to have people in our lives who can remind us of who we are during those tough times.
I love that. So where are you now with RTI Empowerment Center? What have you seen since in 2020, and where do you see it going in 2021?
I mean, in 2021, there will be RTI Empowerment Center number 2 in a different place.
Really? Tell us more.
I mean, for me to tell you more, you have to follow the journey.
Yeah.
The journey to know a little bit more. But in 2021, there'll be another RTI Empowerment Center to be
love that.
Serving another community.
That is so exciting. And do you have a big, hairy, audacious vision that you see way further down the line for you and your work?
Oh yeah, actually, there's a book that I've written 90% of. The book is called Journey Through Setback, Building Resilience During Tough Times.
Yeah.
That book will be out in March.
Are you self-publishing?
Yeah, self-publishing through my publishing company.
Yay. Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much.
Please let me know so I can share it with everybody when you have that ready to go. And if book launch, people, you can do a virtual book launch. I was on Arlen's virtual book launch. It can happen. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes. So
published author.
There's a lot of great things coming along, and RTI Empowerment, the new RTI Empowerment Center is one of them.
Yeah.
And this year, I want to be able to help 400,000 people shift in.
Holding that vision right here.
A great pastor I've listened to once said that your dream must be so big that without God, it's impossible to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to help that amount of people this year. Right?
Love that.
People say, how are you going to do it? I don't know yet, but I know I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about the how. Just focus on that why and moving forward, bringing your intelligence in there, bringing your ability to connect dots and see how that will flow together. Listen, be in touch with yourself.
And sometimes we have to be willing to tweak the plan.
Absolutely.
Right? A lot of times we'll set on doing things this one way, and if it's not happening this way, then it's not gonna.
No good.
But sometimes we have to be willing to be flexible, right? We have to be willing to tweak a couple of things. We have to be willing to change things around a little bit, because remember, it's about the end result.
Yeah.
It's not about how we get into the end result. It's about the end result.
Right. And it's about enjoying the process along the way. And folks, if you get into the founder journey and you're just not feeling it, or it was the quote, it just isn't a fit, it's okay. You had what we call the contrast moment. And you feel much better, on payroll, or being maybe working at a startup, or being with a larger corporation. You didn't know, you had a thought, you might want to do this, or put it on a shelf. It's okay. You can come back to it another time. There's this mythology out there that you have to burn the ships before you launch a business. No, side hustle your way to success. It's okay. You don't want to put yourself under that financial stress. And so you can stick with the job. You can stick working for someone. The braid releaser, everybody, do you remember our interview with the phenomenal Sarah from the braid release, Sarah Green from the braid releaser? She loves her job at Adidas. loves it. She has no plans to leave that job. And yet she's launched this wonderful product on the side. Yes, her mother does a lot of the work, but she's in it too to win it. So you can make it happen in that way. We can come up with so many constraints of how it's supposed to look while we're building our dreams and implementing our visions. What are your thoughts about that when people get stuck in how it's supposed to look versus how it needs to unfold?
Well, I'll give you an example, a small example. You may be wanting to get a flyer done.
Yeah.
You may have a designer that you've always worked with, and the designer is not getting the flyer done in the amount of time that you needed to get done, or the designer doesn't have the vision that you have for the flyer. And then in that moment, you're like, well, the flyer's not able to get done, so you just put the whole event aside. Well, if that designer can't bring that flyer into fruition for you, you find another designer.
Yeah.
So we don't have to just be stuck on getting it done one way. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
That's right. That's right. So we got to stay flexible and always be looking as an observer. It's an experiment, trial and error with all of these things. And you have to be open to the miracles that can happen, i.e. what happened to Royal in that the contract fell through. Nope, we think you're not a good tenant. Yeah, Royal could have just said, that's it. Okay, that's it. Done. I'm not worthy.
Yeah, so therefore we must be optimistic.
Yeah. Is that part of resilience?
Yes, part of resilience is believing that I can overcome this.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what predicament you're in, I can overcome this. No matter what predicament you're in, you're looking for the blessing in that predicament.
Yeah.
No matter how dark it may seem for you, there's a blessing in that predicament.
Yeah.
No matter what you're experiencing in your life, no matter if you may have lost a loved one, you may have lost your home, you may have lost your job, your car may have gotten repossessed. Within that experience, I promise you, there's a blessing in that experience. But we have to be optimistic in order for us to recognize that blessing.
That's right. Nathaniel Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich?
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. His quote was similar to what you said earlier, which is, within every adversity is a golden seed of opportunity.
Yes.
And so, in the moment of grieving, when I lost my food business, which was a Mother Nature shutdown, I had zero control over it. It came to a screeching halt, period, end of story. That was it. I grieved for months, and I was a little angry at the divine power because I felt I listened the whole way, and why didn't it have the outcome I expected? Well, that journey was done. Yes. That business's soul life was done. It was time to do this. I was needed elsewhere.
Yes. And sometimes we need to know, sometimes we got to let go.
Yeah.
In order to embrace the new blessings that await us, we have to let go of the baggage.
Yeah.
The longer you hold on to what isn't working, the deeper the debt.
Yeah.
And that can be in the relationships that we have with people. And that can be in some of the things that we're involved in. The longer you hold on to what isn't working, the deeper the debt.
Yeah.
In order to embrace the blessings that await you, you got to sometimes let go of the things that's been hurting you.
And that takes courage, folks, because it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. But you go back to your plan, you go back to your why, you make sure you're following Royal on Instagram. See that t-shirt he's got on there, everybody? Any day above ground.
It's definitely a great day.
Is definitely a great day. In fact, That to me is the ultimate stitch that on a pillow. Absolutely. And Royal stitched it on a wonderful sweatshirt, but that's the truth. But if you are struggling, Royal is the type of person that you want to go and find the inspiration and the support through his words. I'm going to call it, tales from the treadmill, transformation from the treadmill, whatever it is. But, follow folks like that who can help you crawl sometimes your way out of the really tough circumstances that you may find yourself in, because you are worthy. And the worthiness at the end of the day is going to keep you back if you're feeling unworthy. And so you need to have the 4 steps of resilience. You've got to have the faith in yourself and in the divine purpose source, who's ever supporting you in life. Got to have a plan. You've got to have that support system. And online, we can find so many great support systems that are going to help us keep feeding our mind. And then finally, knowing what your why is. And that can be fully expressed, be better. You haven't figured out how you want to be in the world, but you want it better. And hey, Jeremy, so good to see you. I don't know if you caught the early part of the show with Royal, but I'd go back and listen if I were you, because it's just been incredible information, inspiration around resilience. And boy, do we need that as founders. How may we support you, Royal, in your work in the world, with your business?
Well, you can go to rtiec.org, and if you're looking to support that way, you can donate to the organization. You can also volunteer at the organization. You can also go to Royale L'radin on Instagram, and maybe you can purchase a t-shirt or a sweater.
Perfect. I will have all the links to follow Royal everywhere he glows. You know that I am a huge fan of this man and how he be in the world. And it inspires me and gives me the ability to do more and give more and become more and be more in the world. You are definitely part of my support system, Royale.
And there's one more thing I'd like to say before I go is, adversity is an opportunity to shift, right? Some may look at success as the end result, but success is really the beginning of a new responsibility. And when you are experiencing setback, understanding that you experience your setback is indeed an opportunity for you to shift.
Yeah. Okay, that I got to tell you, that actually, that's what's going to go on the pillow. I should know better to just wait and know that it will come out. That is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Shift happens, folks, right? Yeah. Doesn't have to be shit happens. It can be shift happens. And it's so important. Perspective is everything, how you choose to look. Hang in there. I'll see you on the other side. I'm going to do some closing comments to everybody. And I just want to say I am deeply, deeply grateful for your presence today on the show, that you graced us with your words, your wisdom, not only live out into the world today, right now, but also for the evergreen video that will be sitting here for folks to go back to again and again to rehear your wonderful advice, Royal. Thank you, thank you. And I am waiting for the day, anticipating the day that I can drive down to Stoughton, pandemic-free, vaccinated, and give you a hug in person.
Yes, I look forward to that day as well.
I really do. Thank you so very much. Hang out in the green room and I'll be right with you. Folks, I got to tell you, so inspirational. That's right, Jeremy. Shift happens. And it's so important for us in life and with our businesses. So I'm so grateful you tuned into this episode. I think we really needed it, especially given it's January 12th, 2021, a lot of turmoil going on right now. And I just, divinely, it is that Jeremy came in and joined us today to share. Jeremy, listen to me. Royale came in today to share his wisdom. So grateful. If you have any questions, you can reach out. You saw how to reach him, or you can shoot me an email, leave comments. And again, for those of you watching, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I have a nice new branded YouTube subscribe button there in the video, and like the video as well. That way I can get more of these conversations out into the world. Thank you for supporting the Startup Life Live show in that way. I got to tell you, I'm very excited about who's coming on next on Friday, January 15th. Oh my gosh, look who's joining us. The one and only phenomenal femtech founder, Mona DeFraui, CEO and founder of RadAvision. And Mona is a serial entrepreneur, folks, who has been a team member of 10 startups over 3 decades. The last 4 as founder and CEO. Over her career, she has raised or participated in the placement of over 6 billion, that's B, billion of VCPE and LP funding. She's recognized by Forbes as one of the top most influential women in tech. She is one of the top most influential women in fintech, thanks to Forbes. She is going to share remarkable startup stories, and she is going to share her big, hairy, audacious vision that she is implementing, which is called RadAvision. And RadAvision is a new multimedia platform that is creating the opportunity to sort of turn entrepreneurship into the new ESPN. But simultaneously, Mona is building a fintech platform, and I'm so excited for you to hear her stories. Oh my gosh. That is, of course, January 15th at 1 p.m. EST. I'd love it if you would join the meetup group here so you can get alerts every time I post a new episode, and you can RSVP and join us live or later via the replay. And we were talking about this, about struggling alone. You do not need to struggle alone, folks. I provide on-demand founder coaching, pitch deck reviews, WeBank application support for female founders in that case, but for all founders of all walks of life. Please book a 15-minute conversation with me, and I'd love to learn more about you and your beautiful business, your idea, whatever it is that you're bringing to the world. I'd love to learn more about. Founders, oh my gosh, thank you for building resilience with us today with Royale. Thank you for staying focused, and thank you for bringing your gifts to the world through your business, through how you be in the world. I'm excited for you. Stay strong, stay focused, stay home, stay safe, and I'll see you the next time. Mwah and mwah. Cheers.